Okay, this is our last concept in Unit 1. We need to know how to multiply polynomials. Multiplying is not as tricky as adding and subtracting in that I don't have to look for like terms, but it's a little more tedious. There's going to be some adding and subtracting involved after you do your multiplication. So what's easiest is if we'll base multiplying polynomials off distributive property. So let's just take a little side note here. Let's say I had the problem 2 times x plus 4. Everybody knows how to do distributive property and distribute that 2 to the x and distribute the 2 to the 4. When we say distribute, we're multiplying. That gives me 2x plus 8. So that's how I want you to think about these multiplication of polynomial problems. And if you do that, then you'll never make a mistake. So I want you to think about, instead of having one term in the front that I'm distributing by, in this case, I've got 2 terms. So we're going to take it term by term. First, I'm going to distribute with 2x, and I'm going to distribute it to the second polynomial that I had. So if I multiply each of those terms by 2x in the second polynomial, that would give me 2x times x is 2x squared. Notice I'm applying my exponent rules, so it's very important that I learned those. 2x times 4 would give me positive 8x. And once I do that, I have successfully multiplied with 2x. Now I want to do the same thing with the second term of that same polynomial. I want to distribute the negative 7. I'll take it to the same second polynomial. This way I'm ensuring that every term has met every other term and been multiplied by every other term. So negative 7 times x would give me negative 7x. And negative 7 times 4 would give me negative 28. Now you have successfully performed the multiplication of 2 polynomials when you do that step. I've crossed 2 terms with 2 other terms, so it makes perfect sense that I've got 4 terms here. Now after that, that's when I need to remember how to add my polynomials and subtract my polynomials, because I got a pair of like terms here in the middle that need to be combined together. 2x squared doesn't have a buddy, so he'll come down. But 8x minus 7x leaves me with 1x, positive 1x, so I'll put a plus sign. And I don't have to write a coefficient of 1. That could just say plus x. So I have successfully multiplied 2x minus 7 times x plus 4. Here we're going to be mixing and matching with some different variables, but we're going to follow the same process. I want you to think of it as you're going to distribute both of these terms to the second polynomial. So let's take negative 4x and distribute it to 10x and distribute it to 2x. Negative 4x times 10x is negative 40x squared. Once again, applying my knowledge of exponents. Negative 4x times 2y would give me negative 8. And I'm just going to put my variables in alphabetical order. So instead of saying yx, which I could, I'm going to say xy, just to kind of keep some consistency with my math. And now I have successfully multiplied by negative 4x. Let's do the same process with negative 6y as my multiplier. We'll distribute it to 10x and we'll distribute it to 2y. Negative 6y times 10x would give me negative 60. And it doesn't matter here if I put yx or if I put xy, but let's be consistent. Let's do alphabetical order like I mentioned, negative xy. We know that multiplication is commutative, so xy is the same thing as yx. It doesn't matter the order that I write that. Negative 6y times positive 2y would give me negative 12y to the second. Once again, applying my knowledge of exponents. And I need to combine my like terms, which once again are here in the middle. That happens a lot with polynomial multiplication. Negative 8xy minus 60xy would give me negative 68xy. And my leading term and my ending term didn't have anybody, so they just came along for the ride. So negative 4x minus 6y times 10x plus 2y. is equal to the expression negative 40x squared minus 16xy minus 12y squared. We'll do one more together here. That's a binomial and a binomial. I'll distribute 2x to x and 2x to negative 8. That'll give me 2x squared minus 16x. Now I'm done with 2x. And now we'll distribute negative 6 to x and negative 6 to negative 8. That gives me negative 6x plus 48. Watch my signs. I'm doing multiplications, and negative 6 times negative 8 would obviously give me a positive. I'll combine my like terms in the middle to get a simplified answer of 2x squared minus 22x plus 48. Very nice. Okay, woo, I look at number 4, and it doesn't have 2 terms in the front, it has 3. So I've got to do distributive property 3 times. We're going to take 5x squared, we're going to distribute it to this entire polynomial here. Let's do it. 5x squared times 2x squared would give me 10x to the 4th, applying my rule of exponents correctly. 5x squared times x would give me 5x to the 3rd, applying my exponents correctly. 5x squared times negative 4 would give me negative 20x squared. And I have completed my 5x squared. Now this one's going to get a little more complicated, so I'm going to kind of do something here. I'm going to try to line up my like terms as I go. So now I'll distribute 2x to this second set, the second polynomial. So 2x times 2x squared, that would give me 4x to the 3rd. Notice that it's a like term with 5x to the 3rd. So I'm going to line them up vertically here just because this guy being a trinomial, meaning he's got 3 terms, it kind of scares me a little bit. So 2x times x, that's positive 2x squared. I'm going to line it up under my other x squared term just to organize my thinking. 2x times negative 4 gives me negative 8x. And I don't have a like term with that one. So you notice how vertically I didn't put it with another term. All right, I've got one more term to distribute, and then I'm almost done. Distribute my negative 4. I'm going to line up my terms as I go. Negative 4 times 2x squared would give me negative 8x squared. Negative 4 times x would give me negative 4x. And negative 4 times negative 4 gives me positive 16. So now I've got my like terms lined up together. 10x to the 4th didn't have any other buddies, so we'll bring him down. 5x to the 3rd and 4x to the 3rd makes 9x to the 3rd. Negative 20x squared plus 2x squared minus 8x squared. Well, negative 20 plus 2 makes negative 18, and negative 18 and negative 8 makes negative 26x squared. Let me just do a double check of that. I'll go backwards. Negative 8 plus 2 would give me negative 6, and negative 6 and negative 20 does make negative 26. Negative 8 and negative 4x make negative 12x. And 16 didn't have a buddy, so I'll just bring him down. Now the multiplication is not that bad as long as you're organized about your work and you're checking as you go. It's very easy for me to make mistakes, especially if I do not know my exponent rules. So if you're struggling with any of that multiplication, make sure you come in to me to get help, or you continue to practice.